and the voice of the Gonzaga Bulldogs, Tom Hudson. Tom, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation.
Hey, great to be here, guys. How you doing this morning?
Fantastic.
Good.
Let's start with this question because you are the guy to ask. Is this the best Gonzaga team you've ever seen?
You know, if it's not, it's really darn close. I'm starting to lead towards yes. And then the debate that we always get into is, where do you judge your success? And so is there still time for this team? If they got the NCAA tournament and got knocked out early, does that, take away from what they've done? I don't think so. I mean, I think this team's unbelievable. And, we've really kind of laughed at, we're sitting at 29-1, and there are questions about whether or not this team belongs. And I've kind of chuckled at that. But, yeah, it's a team that seems to have, just a lot of talent, a lot of experience, and a lot of depth and great chemistry. And people say that all the time, but, you look at this team, and these guys really get along. And, I just point to last night, we're playing San Diego, and you guys have seen San Diego enough now. You know that low possession, kind of grinded out game you get into. Hey, we had, Kyle Wilcher, who just went for 45 a couple weeks ago, right? So he's 2 for 5. Kevin Pangos goes 1 for 7. So your 2 leading scorers are 3 for 12. And you still win a game by 20. And for me, that tells you how special this GU team is, that, even with your 2 guys getting held down a little bit, other guys are able to step forward and do more than enough to help you win a game.
Tom Hudson with us on BYU Sports Nation. Personally, I think it's silly when certain national prognosticators try and argue against Gonzaga that they don't deserve a number 1 seed. For crying out loud, their only loss was in overtime or a close game at Arizona by 3, a game that you probably should have won. Gonzaga feels that way. So in my mind, they deserve a number 1 seed, absolutely. Now, in Spokane, what are the fans saying up there? What is the case for Gonzaga to absolutely be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament?
Well, it's interesting because I think the fans just kind of have the same feeling. And Coach Few and I have talked about this a little bit. He's saying that he doesn't really care if we get a number 1 seed. He's like, hey, a number 1 and number 2. His concern is that people are hating the team and trying to pull down the team when it's the process. I mean, there's no rule in NCAA basketball that says you have to be from a Power 5 conference to be a number 1 seed. And so, his thing is, if you want that, then change the rule. But you can't argue against a team that's 29-1, like you said, that, only lost in overtime to a top 10 team. Could you argue for one of those other teams in the top 5 or 6 to be a number 1 seed? Absolutely. I don't know that anybody here is saying that GU should be 100% unequivocally, without a doubt, a number 1 seed. But I do think that, we should be in the conversation. And more than just in the conversation, on the fringes of the conversation, but right in the conversation, hey, explain why we shouldn't be. And, and I laugh because this GU team, I think, has a lot of similarities to BYU, and you look at the way that we've closed our last couple of games, and I think you look at how BYU closed last night, the ability to score and the ability to take over games. Yeah, our first half was ugly last night, and it wasn't a particularly well-played first half. But, you go on a 13-0 run to take the lead and then finish the game, outscoring them 19-4. You don't play a particularly solid game and you win by 20. And I think people just lose sight of that, don't see the games on a regular basis, exactly how hard it is to just win basketball games, period. And so, I think people up here would be excited to have a number 1. I think that, Coach Few would like to have a number 1, but he's fine because, we went through it those, 2 years ago and everybody kept, bagging on us for, how is Gonzaga here? And I think the pressure got to our players a little bit was, you deserve to be here, and it went on and on and on. So, I think a 1 or a 2, the program would be happy with. But let's be honest, to be able to tell people that you were a number 1 seed 2 of 3 seasons would be pretty special as well. So, I think that there's some hope that it does happen.
Tom, regardless of where they get seeded, how far do you think that they will be able to go into the tournament?
I think this team has a run in them. Now, I've said that before, but this team, I think, with the experience, having a guy like Kyle Wilcher who, has a national championship ring, I think says a lot. Byron Leslie joining the team. He does some things that we haven't really had anybody be able to do in our history. He gets into the paint. He makes off-balance shots. He has a knack for grabbing big rebounds. Those are things that I think really add to a group with Kevin Pangos and Gary Bell Jr. Those guys have made gosh, I want to say together 260 games.
Wow.
That's a lot of experience. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And, 2 4-year starters. I mean, it's phenomenal. They've won now 116 games. They're the winningest senior class in school history. So you've got that experience, and you add a couple of guys. And then, with Wilcher, his ability to score the basketball when you really need it. I think over the last couple of years, maybe we've lacked that a little bit. Hey, it's go time. We absolutely need a guy who wants the ball, who can score it. Pangos can, but not necessarily always get his own shot, and Wilcher can really do that. So, I think that this team has the experience, and you add some guys that bring maybe a different dynamic than we've had, and it's a sneaky defensive team. We're not going to go out and necessarily press you for 40 minutes and make things happen, but a pretty good back line with Karnowski back there. So I think, they can win a game where maybe they're not scoring it. So I think they've got a chance to make a deep run, and I hope that they do, for the kids' sake. And, it's funny for you guys, right? You follow your program so closely, and that's part of it, right, is that you just want everybody to get off their backs. I mean, they work so hard, and they do so many good things. And, what's BYU? You've got 22 wins right now, and people are questioning, same thing. Do they belong? Do they not belong? What's going on? 22 wins is a heck of a season. And you like to see the guys get rewarded for that. So hopefully our guys are able to win some and get some momentum coming up here in March.
You bring up 22 wins for BYU, and the Cougars will take on Gonzaga in the regular season finale of the West Coast Conference in Spokane tomorrow. Is the West Coast Conference a two-bid league with BYU, in your opinion?
Well, I'd like to think so. The league is interesting this year, isn't it? You almost wish that a couple of other teams could find some traction. And that's been the thing. I know that the RPI in the league is up a little bit from what it has been, but from night to night, you really just don't seem to know what's going to go on. I thought Portland was going to be a really good team this year, and they've struggled some. And Pepperdine had that nice run at the beginning of the season, and they've stumbled a little bit. It would have been nice to have maybe one or two more teams that would have been top 100 RPI teams, maybe even top 60 or 70 RPI teams to really get the league a little more attention. I think that's the one thing that probably is hurting BYU a little bit in this bubble talk is just the respect. I think our strength of schedule out of conference was 16. I think BYU's was 17.
Yeah.
And then I know our strength schedule now sits at 77. And so unfortunately you can't really control that, and that's the part that's a little bit difficult. I'd like to think if BYU is able to win a few more games, they've got a really good chance of getting in. I think that's a really good basketball team. So I hope that's the case. And I don't think St. Mary's, unless they win down in Vegas, has a chance. I think BYU's resume is a lot better. So I think BYU's got a decent shot. And it's been kind of fun to watch, and all these prognosticators, have had them out, and now you reel off 5 straight wins, and we're starting to see BYU up there again. So hopefully it becomes a two-bid league because, I think hopefully one of these days the WCC is going to get a little bit of respect.
Tom, what will it take for BYU to beat Gonzaga on Saturday?
Oh, that's a great question. The funny thing for us, we were laughing last night in our post-game show. You talk about two polar opposites. We're in a game where, we've scored 9 points 10 minutes into the game, which is almost unheard of for us. And then there might be 9 points scored in the first 90 seconds, for us when BYU comes in. And it'll be interesting because I know our guys are a lot more excited to play that tempo the BYU plays than the San Diego tempo. So it's going to be interesting. And I've been thinking about that. We talked about it a little bit last night. And I think for BYU to just keep pushing GU, and to make shots. Obviously that's the easy one. But, I thought in Provo, BYU had a really good chance to win that game. And then, Gonzaga was able to make some plays. And that's the thing that I think is so difficult. Like I said, with so many guys on the roster that can score and they can do things, you have to kind of hope that almost 2 or 3 guys really have off games, which we haven't really had this year.
Yeah.
So, I think if BYU's getting up and down the floor and making shots, but GU's comfortable. We would prefer to play like BYU. We'd prefer to be in the 80s, not playing in the 50s and 60s. Maybe just run GU out of the gym if that's possible, but this GU team likes to get up and down the floor. So I do know it's going to be so much fun. We're looking so forward to it, and just an up and down game. Some of these games in the league we've had here lately have been really low scoring, so we're looking forward to a team that wants to come in here and just flat out outscore us.
It's as simple as running Gonzaga out of their own gym where they hold the nation's longest home win streak. Super simple.
Exactly. So not that simple.
Tom, great to talk to you. Enjoy the call tomorrow, and we'll talk to you in the future.
Hey, sounds great, guys. So great talking to you. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.